during the Texas 8, and you've gone far. You've gone pretty far in the tournament. What were some of those lessons for you now that you've experienced this tournament type wrestling? Like, what were some of those lessons that you've learned?
It's just about endurance, right? I mean, you're going to have multiple matches, back to back, which means you're going to have to learn multiple opponents within like less than 2 hours, right? And you don't always know who your opponent is going to be. So I think it just, I don't want to say that it taught me this. I guess it just kind of reinforced it to always be ready, so you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean? Not only is it physically, it's physically, there, it's also mentally there because the nerves kick in, the jitters, the what ifs, all the what ifs, all the things that could go wrong kick in. So it just reinforced like staying ready because I was always ready for it.
He is now one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gimmick copyright infringement away. We have the one true final boss. See, the true is probably the one that separates you, but thanks for coming in the program.
Yep. The one true final boss, Exodus Prime, is in the building. The Rock stole it from me. He knows it, but I'm gonna let him slide.
I love the name too. I was like, wow. And then like, here comes WrestleMania 40. I'm like, dude, why? It's like, so it's a little bit more recent. The Texas 8 has become such a phenomenon in the Texas wrestling scene. And, this was the one who brought up you as part of DFW and within that area. Out of all of the people who have the same opportunities and privileges to be in the Texas 8 within DFW, what makes that special for you to be that representative in the DFW area?
Simply put, like there's immense talent in Texas in general, but I really feel like there's so much talent in the DFW area. So for this and many other people just to see me as one of the top guys or the top guy in DFW to represent Dallas or the DFW area, it meant a lot to me, especially coming into the business, with not that many expectations. You know what I mean? I didn't really expect to accomplish much in the business. I just wanted to wrestle. So to go from that mindset to, having people wanting me to represent, the whole region, in the Texas A tournament was actually like very, a very huge deal for me and a big honor for me, really.
Because Dallas, I've spoken to Kari, to Demo Diamond, and now with Maya. I'm curious what your perspective is. Why Dallas is one of those cities that is a great place to see live wrestling on the weekends or whichever comes up, when those shows show up.
I mean, I think it's mainly because, I feel like every area, every region in Texas has a niche about them. And even though we share a lot of talent, there's a niche. This is just my personal opinion. I don't want nobody to get offended by this. I just think it's just the way the training is. The training is with the leading, schools and promotions that's in Dallas. They take training very seriously, right? Okay. And so therefore, when they put on shows, they want the same quality that they, of the training, right? I think, and also just the history, with the sportatorium and everything like that in Dallas. I think it's just kind of like a resurgence of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's familiar. It's familiar. People are familiar with Dallas when it comes to wrestling, and then it's just that there's so many places in Dallas to work that are all quality. So I think that's really, I think that's really what it is in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's not a right or wrong because Austin will have its place too. Houston will have its place. Corpus will have its place. San Antonio has its place. But during the Texas 8, and you've gone far, you've gone pretty far in the tournament. What were some of those lessons for you now that you've experienced this tournament type wrestling? Like, what were some of those lessons that you've learned?
I mean, it's just about endurance, right? I mean, you're gonna
Right.
have multiple matches, back to back, which means you're gonna have to learn multiple opponents within like less than 2 hours, right? And you don't
Mm-hmm.
always know who your opponent is going to be. So I think it just I don't want to say that it taught me this. I guess it just kind of reinforced it to always be ready, so you don't have to get ready. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Um, it not only is it physically it's physically there. It's also mentally there because the nerves kick in, um, the jitters, the what ifs, all the what ifs, all the things that could go wrong kick in. So it just reinforced like staying ready because I was always ready for it. I've been
Right.
doing tour days. I've been doing tour days, sometimes 3 days. I've been wrestling 4 or 5 times in 2 or 3 days. So it was something that I
Mm.
was already used to. So I guess they kind of prepared me for that moment.
Who would you have faced? Because I know the bracket is solid, but out of the other guys who were in the bracket, who would you love to face if the brackets do reset in the Texas 8?
Okay, let me. You talk about the people that was already in it, or I can choose anybody.
Yeah, the one that happened already.
Okay, because forgive me, I know it was me, Danny. I faced Danny. And with Jack, I faced Jack. I faced Epi before. Who else was in the tournament? Can you help me out with that?
Oh yeah. So it's Jay Davis, Casey Blackrose, Cosmo Orion, and Ethan Hunter.
yeah, like in, I've already requested to work all of those guys before, so like
Okay,
you
all
know,
right.
so either one of them, would have been, an exciting match for me personally. So either one of those guys, would have done. But I got Jack, one of my proving ground boys, and
Uh,
we
yep,
went there, we did what we did, and it was nothing but mutual respect. And then I had to go
that's fair.
deal with old Cheating Danny, and you know we have a little bit of history, but it is what it is.
Oh, so you can just say
Congratulations to Danny.
whoever. Yeah, it's like whoever you can face. I'm curious because, like, of course, I'm gonna put an example. Like, let's say you face Casey Blackrose and in San Antonio. Do you think you'll find a way to really work together cohesively in a match and working if there is a match between you and him?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess kind of pride myself on working with anybody.
Okay,
I think it's one of being able to. I think it's one of my pros, one of my biggest pros. Is that like I feel like I can work with anybody. I don't have a. I'm not stuck in my ways. If that makes sense.
okay,
If that makes sense. I'm always open to ideas. I'm always open to um whatever. So yeah, like and me and Casey, we chop it up from time to time. So I think me and Casey would click very well.
yeah, and it's just the ability to adapt. And I forgot to ask you, like, how long have you been wrestling from training to now?
So I was going training in October 2017, and I had my first match in June of 2018. So
Okay,
it's
so
been
like you
about
did have.
so this month it was 7. So I've been entering and I've been training for 7.5 years, and I've been working for 7 years.
Yeah, because like, and you get to see the experience because you've learned so much and going around Texas. And we're gonna go a little bit back because I think that's the first time I saw you was at Inspire. It's AD at the time, and I think you were still the Twin Dragon Connections champion with Stephen Wolf. And
Yeah,
you've been doing. I mean, have you done tag teams before, even when you had Stephen Wolf with the Twin Dragon Connections Championship?
yeah. Very early in my career, me and Kyrie Wright was a tag team for about 3 years or so.
Oh, right.
Um, we was Prime Flight. We called ourselves Prime Flight. We tagged, and that's when we wrestled the Camachos 1,000 times. Even
Right.
Supreme Savages several times. Um, we was that. APW tag team champions. We was the DFW All Pro tag team champions.
So like with Steven though, the one thing I noticed too is working together with the Twin Dragon Connections championship run that you've had. How easy was that? And it goes back to what you're saying that you're willing to work with anybody. And in the tag team division, how much of that adaptability with working with Steven, how did that really solidify you as a tag team and inspire?
See, it is way different with me and Wolf, right? Because Wolf
Okay.
lives in Houston, I live in Dallas, right? So we don't ever train together. So
Oh.
the only training we get together is, bouncing ideas off of each other and then, practicing things, before the show, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because it's really
Yeah.
hard when, he has a full-time job. I have a full-time job outside of wrestling. We live 4 hours apart. So, um, the, it's a whole bunch of virtual, collaboration. But it was different with me and Kyrie because me and Kyrie we both trained at the same
Right.
place, so we was able to, you know, and we were booked outside of one promotion together more. So we worked like several promotions together. Dudes I was working together too, so that also made it a little bit easier. So, but like you say, it's just about the adaptability, right? Just being
Right.
able to um take my ideas and your ideas and just sit there and say, well, I may not be able to get all of my idea and it may not be, but we can get a little bit of both. And oftentimes that's actually better, right? Because when you both have input on what you're doing as a unit, and then the chemistry is stronger right there because no one's, I'm not trying to tell you who to be, and you're not trying to tell me who to be. We're being us together. You know what I'm saying? You've been who you're together.
Right.
So
Right.
and that's my mindset. Whether it's a tag team, whether it's a singles match, whether it's stable, whether it's whatever. It's how can you be you and I be me, and we do that together without having to sacrifice who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Because of course, like the run ended, and then here comes the proving ground, and working with T Ray, who's already established in Austin. I mean, he's over. I mean, even if he just shows up, he's already over. But to work with someone with T Ray and someone who is younger with Jack, how is that dynamic like in that proving grounds arc in Inspire?
It really feels like a evolution type of deal.
Oh,
You know what I
really?
mean?
Okay.
I mean, because when you look at evolution, you had you know Batista, who's a little bit older than Triple H, but he was greener than Triple H. So you had Triple H, who was like the current. You had Ric Flair, who was the mentor. You had Randy Orton, who was like the future, right? And so it's kind of like similar, right? Unfortunately, T Ray is I don't say unfortunately, but T Ray is Ric Flair in this situation, right? You know what
That's
I'm
right. No,
saying?
that makes sense.
Um, I would say that I can either be Batista or Triple H in this situation. Then Jack and Cuddy is either Triple H or they both Randy Orton, I guess, because they both young and they're both coming up. So I mean, it's something like that, right? But I love it, right? Because um, you're always learning as a wrestler or any profession, right? T Ray has a lot to teach, with his age and his wisdom and his experience. And then I'm right there in the middle. I have stuff to learn and I have stuff to teach too. And then, we got Jack and Cuddy who just are sponges. And, and sometimes you even learn something from the younger guys, right? So we're always learning from each other. We always try to like push each other, make each other better.
Because, and we're going to go back to Texas 8 too, because having that relationship with Jack, who is still trying to break himself into the business, to face him in the Texas 8 at the first round, how much of that relationship really kind of solidified how you guys are doing during that match?
Um, I mean, like I say, the goal of, in my opinion, of indie stable is always we all should benefit from it, right?
Okay.
And we all have our personal goals, right? But usually you get together so we can all boost ourselves towards our goals, right? So the the dynamic is, it's never about trying to hold my bros down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like I'm more deserving of than T-Ray or and vice versa, right? They don't feel like we're more
Right.
deserving. So whoever gets the opportunity, then they got our full support, right? And then that comes with the expectation, right? That we gonna give you that, that support, that unwavering support. You got to prove that you were there to support, so you got to go be successful when you get that support, right? So
Right.
that's the dynamic of proving grounds, right? It's not about hate. No, it ain't no hate on each other, none of that crap. It's pretty much like we gonna use each other as a platform, and whoever gets the opportunity, give our unwavering support. But when you get that opportunity, it's on you to
Mm-hmm.
sit there and make the most of the opportunity. That's proving ground.
Yeah, because when you faced them in the Texas 8, and that was the one thing I kind of noticed is, and I'm just like running photos and looking through um, the match itself. Did you ever think that, okay, I know what I'm doing. Jack knows what he's doing. Okay, let's run it for this entire match.
Yeah, like they know me. Like when we in the ring and we stand on opposite ends, the friendship and all that type of stuff don't really matter to me no more. Like, because at the end of the day,
Okay,
I
okay.
want to win, right? And that's what's understood between us, right? That's why we can go in there and go hard on each other, like me and Cuddy did. We can go hard
Mm,
like me and Jack did on each other, and then after the match, still shake hands and move on, right? Because we understand that's what it is. Like when we all got into wrestling, we didn't all get into wrestling together. You know what I'm saying? We all got into wrestling at different times for different reasons, but then we also have a common goal, right? So,
right.
and that goal is to be the best fucking wrestler, right? So when we in the ring with each other, it's not about, oh, that's my boy, so I'm gonna take. No, bro, you better get all of me, and I hope you're gonna give me all of you because that's why we got together in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
And you
So.
sent and you sense the competition and the competitiveness because it is still a match. And even though there is camaraderie, there is still some collaboration. It's still a competition at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, because how do I make you better if I'm going easy on you? How do you make me better if you're not giving me your best?
Okay, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like if you lollygagging with me, then I'm then now I don't have to do my best. Then I'm gonna carry that to somebody who ain't gonna lollygag with me, right? And now I'm not benefiting. So if
Yeah,
we're not
it's
go
like
ahead.
an iron sharpens iron scenario too, because
Exactly.
that's what it is.
Exactly. Like, but it's always love, right? Like it's actually disrespectful to go in there and treat me less than, right? Because you know my skill level, I know your skill level, so why am I gonna sit here and, disrespect that by not giving you my
Mm,
best, right? So it's actually disrespectful for us not to go in there and go our hardest on each other, right? Because we wanted to got the best out of each other.
okay, no, that actually makes sense too, because in wrestling, like most of what you guys are doing is really for the fans at the end of the day. If someone goes awry and you kind of and the fans sense like something's off, like, hey, what's he doing? Like you still see the competition behind, but if someone's off by a little bit, it's like, wait a second, like there's something off, but like someone had to pick up the load and like really finish, like to go home in the match.
Mhm. Um, and sometimes, that can happen, right? You know what I'm saying? But Um, the best thing is keep it moving, man. Like I said, it's
Yeah,
competition, right? Um, um, and at the end of the day, we work together. So, um, I'm only as good as my opponent, right? So,
yeah.
if I can't bring out the best in you, then why am I even wrestling?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where it does refine, and it's a work in progress. And someone who may be off on one match, maybe they'll be better like down the line. They understood the assignment on what to do moving forward too. So AEW, ROH, you've done so many appearances over the past couple of years, and to see what's going on in the big leagues, and even just appearing in those tapings or a live show with AEW. What was that like being in that circle with AEW or with ROH?
Man, um, it's really hard to explain, man. Well, no, actually, it's not hard to explain. It all goes back
Okay.
to it all goes back to what I said from the beginning. I had no expectations in wrestling, right? Um, like I started when I was 27 years old. I had my first match when I was 28. Um,
Okay.
so the fact that I started so late to me, like this was an impossible thing to even, you know, I've only I was a fan my whole life. I've only been to like maybe three or four shows. I've never been to an indie show before I started wrestling. I didn't even know how wrestling existed before I started wrestling. So I just had to say, um, we even as fans, we all have those WrestleMania dreams or those dreams of being on TV wrestling, right?
Right.
And you know, first of all, meeting my childhood, heroes like meeting, Big Show, meeting Mark Henry, meeting Triple H, meeting all these people that like I've only seen through screens. I've only read about these people. Like it was
Oh.
never real to me. And the first time I get to meet these people, I'm not meeting these people as a fan, right? I'm meeting these people as a peer. You see what I'm saying? I'm
Okay.
there to work for these people. Um, so they kind of amplify my feelings of like I'm meeting Big Show as a peer. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm meeting, you know, Triple H pretty much as an employee, right?
Right.
Um, they're paying me to be here, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
my mind is blown, and then you get the opportunity, then you see the camera, you always see the camera angles that they want you to see, right?
Yeah.
Or you go to the live shows, you sit in your seats, you see the action from like that perspective. But
Yeah.
actually being in a ring and seeing it from the performer's perspective, seeing the way where people see it, it's a unimaginable feeling, right? Um, it's it's I thought it was impossible for me to ever actually have a wrestling match, let alone to wrestle on national TV in front of
Yeah.
millions of people. Like it's so the feeling was if I'm being honest, even after all this, I still haven't fully comprehended or accepted the fact that probably until this conversation right now of like how significant um that it has been like to my life. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Did you ever think that, all right, that's going to be the goal for me while I'm grinding my own hustle in the indies? One of these days, I'm going to be all elite. And when that opportunity comes, when you saw that appearance, like, all right, this is going to be a goal for me moving forward.
Yeah, like of course, but like I said, if I'm being honest, that was never the goal, right?
Okay.
Like all of like my goal of wrestling is just like, hey man, like I want to try some. I've been fantasizing about doing this for the past 15 years. Since I was like 14 to
Okay.
15 years old, like, and I've never thought it was possible, right? And so the goal for me was just to have a match to get through
Okay.
training. That was my ultimate
Okay.
goal. And then
Okay.
so none of this is expected for me, honestly. So yeah, and then within the last few years, yeah, like when um you have no expectations, right, of your wrestling career, and then you have people, saying all these things about you that are very positive, high praise. Um, yeah, your goal changed a little bit, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well, it's not necessarily go. I'd say perspective. Did that perspective change? That would be a better way of saying it, because you're in this one plateau, and then holy crap, AEW, or I'm in this appearance. Like that perception changed for you as a wrestler, because you
it,
are in the national stage.
yeah, and no people speak highly of me as a professional wrestler, and like that means the world to me, right? So, um, yeah, like it became the goal was because at that point, right, something that I thought was impossible before I started
Right.
became something that was possible because fans, and then I'm meeting my heroes, and when I'm getting feedback from them, they're giving me all this positive feedback. So yeah, like that changes the perspective and the goal a little bit, right? Um,
Yeah.
but ultimately, like as I reflect more and more on my career and like my personal goals, like I've realized that when I start to put that pressure on myself with wrestling, it made wrestling less enjoyable, right? Because that's why I got into wrestling. I got into wrestling because of the joy it brought me, right? It brought me no
Okay.
stress. It when I went to a show and and I wrestling a match, I felt like like I was, I was euphoric, right? And then when I put that pressure on myself, to like, well, I got to get signed, and I'm in my 30s, so I need to get signed now, right? um, it made me not enjoy the journey as much, right? And so now my goal has shifted again. Like I just want to like enjoy wrestling, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't want it to turn into another job, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that I don't want to get signed, right? But to protect my mental health and to in order for me to get out the best product to the fans, right, I have to be happy doing this. Right.
Right.
And if I'm not happy doing this, then I can't give the fans what they want. I have no chance of getting signed because I'm not going to be committed to it. And that's my goal, right? Just to enjoy wrestling, to enjoy bringing fans, whoever enjoy watching me, join, to pass along knowledge, um, to to the younger people, whoever seek the knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and if they seek it, that's what brings me. That's my goal in wrestling, right? If I get signed, if I get the contract, of course I'm going to take it. I'm going to give it
Right.
100%, but I can't let that be the you know the the reason for my happiness or my reason for doing this, right? No matter how good you are, right? It's still damn near impossible, right? So
Yeah.
um um so it's about being happy doing this, man, because it's so much it's so many other things that I can do for money and make a lot of money that doesn't hurt, that doesn't require so much time and
Yeah.
dedication, right? You know what I'm saying? But I got into wrestling because I love entertaining people. I love being a character. Um I love the physicality of it. I love the drama of it, I love all of it. So
Yeah.
that's my goal now.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about the two, because and having a family and having that extra that extra load that you have, and to finding balance with your family and with your career. How did you really manage to say, okay, I have to find that thin line? Because what you mentioned prior, it really does keep you grounded, but to have the family aspect and raising a child, how did you really find that balance of really focusing on your career, your job, and having a family?
Um, Honestly, man, like I still haven't figured it out. Like,
Okay.
it's always ever changing, right? I went from having one child to having three children, right? My
Right.
oldest child is with my ex-wife, and my youngest children are with my current wife, right? So my situation is a little different, right? So it's always evolving, but I think what helps is having the spouse that is supportive, that understands,
Right.
right? Um, for example, like my wife. my wife, she met me, you know, when I was, you know, every weekend for the past, I've been with my wife for 5 years. Every weekend that we've been together since we've been together, been married, I have wrestled. So like
Right.
she, um, she, you know, I was integrated into this life, right? So she understood it, right? And she's very supportive. When I say when I feel like I want to quit, she the one that's telling me like keep going, right? So that's what helps, right? Is having and then me doing my part, making sure I'm trying to, spend time with her and my children and and take care of my responsibilities. Um whether it's financially or, being present, mentally, emotionally, physically. Um right? And that's why I have to shift, right? The goal, right? Um I love wrestling, but I love my family more, and like
Mm.
I want both, but you know, wrestling is temporary. My family's forever, right? So, as long as my wife is supportive, I will wrestle, right? But it's ever to the point to where she feel like it's too much of a burden on the family, then like I'm going to do my part, as a husband, right? And so that's the ever shifting thing, right? Is you see what I'm saying? Like, I think I do the best that I can. Now, I'm not perfect, but I have an amazing wife. Um, man, she's very supportive. She keeps me going, so I that's that's what helps, right?
Yeah, no, because I was thinking that too. Because oftentimes, like having like some and finding when is it good to go to wrestling, and okay, all right, let me take care of the family. Because oftentimes, like, and especially with parenting and how things are going in life in general, it's just you're just trying to go through the ebbs and flows, and if there's a cue to say, okay, let me figure out if this is going to work out. If it doesn't, okay. And that's what's nice about having a supportive relationship and a supportive marriage is you know when it's off when someone tells you. Because oftentimes, if you're just coming in there blind, it's like, oh, okay, shouldn't have done that. But there's someone who's telling you, okay, keep going, keep going. Wait a second.
Yeah, and like I say, it helps immensely when you're like, you know, doing your part for them, right? When you're doing your part financially and emotionally. So that helps a lot, right? You know what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
So um right. So it's, as long as you do your part, but it's always a sugar as kids. Kids get older and they require more things, right? They require more time. They get their hobbies, and you have to do that for them. So you know, um, so like the balance is always shifting, right? I try to like make
Yeah.
sure during the week that I'm as present as I can be, um, and then because I know a lot of my weekends are going to be reserved for wrestling. Um, but I know I do take less bookings than I used to now. Um, I try not to overload myself. One, because it hurts. Like it hurts.
We're
It
not getting any
hurts.
younger. I get it. We're not getting any younger.
It hurts. And then, like I say, a lot of times I'm like, well, I just use that time to go do things with my family. Like actually, it's it's been making me love wrestling more, and it's been very, very, very much more beneficial for my family.
Yeah, because and I was thinking about that too. Did your well, I think they're how old are your children, by the way?
So, my oldest is gonna be 11 in a couple of
Okay.
days. Um, I have my second oldest just turned 3 a couple weeks ago, and then my youngest, my son, he's going to turn 2 in August.
Oh, okay. Did your eldest kid like did she ever watch you wrestle? And they're like, oh, daddy did that. Like has she ever been to shows with you or no?
Yeah, like when I said between like ages 3 and 7, um, that was probably her peak of wrestling, right? She would like go to the shows. She would like watch, like she loved women's wrestling. So, and she still watch women's wrestling from time to time. But right now, she just got, she just don't care for it.
One of these days, like, Daddy's in the show now. That's what it means.
Yeah, she
One of
just
those
don't.
days. One of those days.
Yeah, she just kind of like, yeah, that's just something that he do. It's all
Oh
good.
my goodness. Oh, this is great. Thanks for having you on. I know that you're on a tight schedule, so I'll keep this very brief. And I really appreciate you. Like, really, we always, and this is with all of my guests, we only talk for 5 minutes and we're like, see you later. But now, having this conversation, we really just appreciate how you're doing things, in the ring and seeing how you're still killing it in the indies. And one of these days, like the major promotions reached out to you, like all that hard work is really paying off when that moment comes.
Yeah. And like I said, I'll be eternally grateful. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm hoping I'm going to turn it down. Like I'm not going to do that. Like I'm going
Right.
to take the opportunity and I'm going to give it a million percent. You know what I'm saying? But but the goal is just to be happy wrestling, man.
Yeah.
Because even if I was signed, like I still got to be happy doing this, right? Because this is hard. It's physically hard. It's mentally hard. Like so.
Yeah. So we'll end our conversation here. And if you were in the same room as an adolescent version of you, and you're there face to face with the young final boss. That is so weird. The young Exodus Prime. What would you like to talk to him about?
Man, I've said, man, like, just go do it, man. Like, everything that you want to do, just go do it. Like, don't wait for nobody to tell you it's okay. Don't, don't, you know, don't try to do it with people. Like, be independent. Just go do it and learn all that you can, man. That's pretty much what I would tell them, man. I, if I wish I was about 10 years earlier.
Do it now and do it sooner. That's what it means.
Do it now.
Because, like, I think, and I guess, like, the one thing too, like, was there anything when you were younger that's kind of holding you back, or was it something that really built up over time to say, all right, I will try wrestling?
It was the latter, like it was just over time, man. Like I well, because for years I would look for schools, and the only it was only two schools would pop up at the time, and that was
Oh.
out like it was like in San Antonio and Houston. It was like it was Rudy Gonzalez School, and it was Rose. I was like, man, I don't want to move all the way out there to,
4 hours.
to wrestle or whatever like that. So, but now, like, but I would tell younger me to do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I would tell younger me to go when I was 20, 21. I was first thought about doing. I would have said, hey man, go do it, and just you're gonna be good at it, man. Just go do it.
Okay, that's great. And I have nothing left to give. You have the floor. Where can we find you? And what's upcoming for you in shows?
Oh man, I have a lot actually. I know this weekend, on the 28th. I have the Texas Revolver Tournament first round against Rick Savage. I'm going to beat his head in, so it is what it is, or their head is, no matter. Um, regardless
That's
of what
great.
happens, I'm going to win that Revolver Texas title. And then Sunday, I gotta close another personal chapter. Um, and we're in the last man standing with Carlos Diaz. And then Sunday, I gotta close a personal chapter at DFW All Pro um in the last man standing against Carlos Diaz. He stabbed me in my back just like Levi Lucas did. So I gotta go close that chapter, and then I don't, like I said, I got Misfire coming up. But yeah, I have a lot coming up. Just check me out.
Well, that's what.
Just check me out on Facebook,
Yeah.
Exodus Prime, or Instagram at the Mask Exodus, or just type in Exodus Prime. I'm always sharing my flyers. You'll see everywhere that I'm at. So
Okay, awesome. So we'll end our conversation here. Thank you so much for tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on Apple Podcasts. And we will be on to the next one.